Welcome, and thank you for joining us for another edition of Live by Heart Today with your hosts, Dawn Spiegelberg and Wendy R. Wolf. Our show begins now. Streaming from Retro Earth Studio and brought to you by
Learn to play jazz piano like a pro, by a pro, with Jazz Piano Pro Essentials at jazzpianopro.com.
We Are Historically Conscious Brand Apparel. It's time for the next episode of Live by Heart
Today.
Hello and welcome to the Live by Heart Today show number 36. This is a show designed to help you navigate change, uncertainty, and the new world we found ourselves living in. We'll talk a little bit about science, a little bit about how our body works, a little bit about intuition, and we'll talk a lot about transformation. I'm Dawn Spiegelberg, a posture therapist and coherence coach. We're focusing on being proactive, with today's theme being lead by choice. With me is my co-host, Wendy R. Wolf, transformation facilitator. Thanks for joining us, Wendy.
Thank you, Dawn. I'm so grateful to be part of this. It's so on topic as far as I'm concerned for my life, but also I think in the world, that we can make a choice. We can be proactive and we can make a choice to have a vision, to go in the direction we choose, to not be pushing everybody, but to be leading our own way and see what happens.
And in order to lead our own way, this is actually a great jumping off place from last week's show, because we talked about luck with our producer and preparation. And you mentioned chance favors the prepared. So leading by choice is easier when we're moving forward and we're prepared to move forward.
Yeah, that quote I think it's somebody like Louis Pasteur or something, some science person who's, one of those tried a million things people, then finally, overnight success after X amount of time.
Right.
But it's chance favors the prepared mind, but the prepared in all the ways. And what keeps coming to my mind lately so much, and I've mentioned in the last couple of times, is the quote, which I'm still not very good at saying, which is, once we're committed, then providence moves too. And so many things become available to us. And it's both because we are saying yes to life, but also because we're noticing what's right there in front of us.
Right. And it has been there.
It's been there.
I like to use a great example of, look around the room and look at everything that's blue. And when you decide to look for things that are blue, you don't notice the green, right? You're not looking for the brown and you're not looking for the red. Your eyes search for blue, and then you begin to see all the things that are blue. And they've been there. You just haven't paid attention to it. So, like you mentioned, when you make a choice, and the word decide is to cut off other options, then that vision, that decision to move forward, allows you to begin to see what is available for you to move toward that vision. And it's so simple, and yet not easy to practice.
Yes. And there's a lot of research about this I've been reading about lately. Like, there's this experiment they did where they asked people to do counting it was like some sports game. And they asked the people who were involved, I think it was basketball, to count the number of things that happened. And they counted along and everything. And then they had two different things happen. They had a woman come through as they're doing the counting with an umbrella. And then in different kind, they had somebody in a monkey suit
Gorilla
come
suit,
through.
yes.
Yeah, gorilla suit. You know about this. Yeah. And nobody saw them because they're so busy counting.
Yeah.
And like, how amazing is that? So you know this story. So what do you want to say about it? Because it's so relevant.
It's very relevant because it demonstrates the amazing ability of the mind to focus. And when we give it a focus, that's what it pays attention to, and other things are disregarded as unnecessary. And another way to talk about that is habituation, right? So I get accustomed to feeling the clothes on my body, and so my thalamus disregards that input. Although it's still receiving the input, that input isn't necessary for what I'm doing right now, which is speaking to you on a show. So if a gorilla were to walk behind me, I wouldn't notice it. Maybe the viewers would notice it, but I wouldn't notice it because of my focus, because I'm paying attention to connecting with you. Our goal is to provide a valuable show and to demonstrate what it is to live by heart. And when we live by heart, it is an amazing experience. And we've talked about it before, but living by heart gives us our little list of 7 things. It allows us to rest. We are able to investigate. We're able to be okay with what is. And I think that is a really big one. Being okay with what is, and we talked about it a little bit last week, because of the times changing. If you can look at what is happening now, rather than hold on to the past and what was, that's the opportunity for you to see what's possible, which our producer did. And then we have this beautiful show. So it's really, really incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, when he was talking, I was thinking about a paradigm that I'm always thinking through about being the captain of my ship. It's very much about leading by choice. And that the picture is like I'm sailing to the Bahamas. So I'm taking a boat. In my picture, I'm coming out of New York Harbor and I'm going along. I'm not a sailboat captain, by the way, but I have helped these kinds of things. And I'm going down the coast, and then, oh gosh, I'm watching the weather. Oh gosh, there's a hurricane starting to form. So I keep watching, go down the coast. Oh, you know what? I'm going to pull into Annapolis because there's a hurricane. It's too scary, right? So I go into Annapolis. All right, but I'm still going to the Bahamas, except it looks like I'm going the wrong way. But I'm not. I'm just doing what needs to be done to get to the Bahamas, which is save our butt, right? So go into Annapolis. Then do I choose? Do I take the Intercoastal Waterway, which is boring? Or, okay, it's past. Is it safe? Okay, I'll go out to the main ocean. But I'm still going to the Bahamas.
Yeah.
And, along. And, maybe. So I think this is a really important picture. An important part of leading by choice, or being the captain, as I like to talk about, because it doesn't always look like we were talking with Rusty last time about like letting certain goals fall away or reorganizing or realizing they're done. But but going to Annapolis is actually a necessary addition on my way to the Bahamas.
Yes.
And but it doesn't mean I'm not going to the Bahamas. And then I just keep going. And the really amazing, so there's that. But there's also like when I'm going, other people want to go.
Right.
Right? We're going to the Bahamas. I meet somebody in the net. You're going to the Bahamas? I'll come be a deckhand. I want to go to the Bahamas. Right? Other people are like, yeah, let's go to the Bahamas.
Mm-hmm.
All right, bring on some more beans and rice. Let's go.
And there are those people who say, oh, if you're going to the Bahamas, you need this. And so they advise you, they give you information, they support you in getting there and having a successful experience.
Yeah. And so that leads me, can I go to my second story? Is
Yes,
this a good
please.
time? So the part of the reason that we're talking about this today is that I was having some challenge with something, and my partner was encouraging me about how to work through it. Like basically it was a conversation about, do I push more or do I pull? And nobody likes to be pushed. But nobody wants the stick, but the carrot is a really good thing. So so the picture is, I saw in nature, actually with my eyes, a mother duck, and it turns out I was wrong with this metaphor, but I always like talk about getting your ducks in order, and it turns out that that's about something like bowling. But I always tried to
You
think
mean
about
getting
it
your
like
ducks
with
in
the
a row, right?
right, and my ducks would never ever get in a row, ever. Like it's just crazy annoying. It's like herding cats. I like to say in my business.
Right.
But I saw in nature that this mother duck, that everybody's all over the place. This pond, all the ducklings are ever all over this. All of a sudden, mother duck is like, whoo, and all the ducklings are like, whoo, and they're in line and they're going like that. And that is leadership. That's a carrot, not a stick. That's leading by pull, not push.
Yes.
And when who doesn't want to go to the Bahamas, right? Like when I have a vision that's like woohoo, like Rusty is showing last time, he's showing, oh, like we're on board, and Peter's on board, and all the people who are doing the unity
Through community, yeah.
through community is on, right? Like it's just like the momentum starts to grow, and you get your first follower and your second follower and then your next 10, and things really move. So
We're little ducklings.
yeah,
He was the
and we're
mama duck
ducklings
and
for
he
each
just
other.
went. Yeah.
Yeah, I do something and you like it, you do something, I like it. It's not just one way. But
Yes.
I feel like that's a really important picture for today, to be like, can we play games big and fun enough, world changing enough, that matter enough, that people want to play too?
And that's having a vision, being prepared, resting, right? All of it, and being with what is. Leading by choice. I think I love the duckling example because leaders keep their eye on the goal and they go.
Yes.
And while they're traveling, while you're on your way to the Bahamas, there are some people who say, I want to go to the Bahamas too. And you can tell them, well, get your own boat because our boat is full.
Yeah.
Or we've got room for one more. Who will it be? Right? There are lots of opportunities out there.
Yeah.
But if you never decided to go to the Bahamas, then those people who also wanted to go to the Bahamas would either not get there or have to take a different route. So it's all important. It's important for all of us to go where our vision pulls us.
And about other people getting a boat, like there's a lot of people, I've experienced with RVs. Like Michael and I, we took our RV a while ago now to Baja for a couple months. For 9 weeks we were in Baja and living on the beaches, and it was mostly awesome. And there's some people it's just a little too much, a little nervous making. So there's trails of people that go. Like we went once, we can just go again and bring 6 people, 6 rigs with us. And then they get acclimated. It becomes normalized. The bodies get comfortable. They learn the ins and outs and how much they really don't need to know, and desensitized to some things that are uncomfortable, And same thing with the sailboats. Like there's a big pack that go down to Baja from Seattle together. And like, because captaining a ship out in the ocean is a big deal. There's a lot to know, and it's a big step. And so, but when you go together, you don't have to know quite as much. And so anyway, there's just some wonderful ways to build on this. And I believe it's directly transferable to our personal lives and our communities, and like helping all of us have a bigger life, especially nowadays in the face of all the
Change.
challenges.
Yes, change and challenges. So last week we spoke with Rusty, our producer, about how he changed, how he was leading. And I'd like you to just take a minute and talk about your preparations and how things have changed for you, because this is really good for people to see examples of what's possible.
The only way that this has really affected me is that I've been tempted to grow connections in person in the Triangle area of North Carolina, the Raleigh-Durham area. And I just was starting to do that when the virus hit. And so I wasn't able to grow that community, because I love to grow community. I wasn't able to grow in-person community there. So that I had to let go. Now I'm in Myrtle Beach. Haha.
Lucky them.
Lucky me. So, but I will say, or related, the answer for me is different, which is that I've been under pretty significant physical, energetic stops in my wellness for a long time, but I wasn't stopping. I just had things on the burner. Okay, when I can, here's a class I have developed. Here's the progression of classes that I would like to offer. Here, I'm ready in so many ways. And I call it waiting for the wave. I've been waiting for the wave. Today, is my wave coming? No. My wave coming? No. I had a lot of no. But one day my wave came. And the next thing you know, now I'm leading 2 groups. I mean, in almost no time. And now I'm leading 2 groups that I was wanting to lead. And
Yes.
I have the energy now.
Yes.
And so it's happening. And there's a lot of movement in my ministry now. There's a lot, and I don't know why, but people are coming out of the woodwork for other things and wanting to interview. And so, right, because I'm ready. The wave has come, but it took every day going out with my suit,
And
waiting
your board,
and my board, waiting in the water for my wave not to come.
Yes.
And meanwhile, behind the scenes, doing all that preparation work, so that when the wave is here now, I can really take advantage of it.
Beautiful.
Yeah. What about
I love
you?
it.
Yeah.
What about me? So what you know is that a large part of my business was person-to-person body work. And given what changed in March, I started consulting online. So I shifted away from person to person, but I'm still able to assist people with the exercise therapy piece. And the people that I reach now are in other states, right? It doesn't have to be local. I'm not limited to only working with people here. And the results have just been phenomenal because this stuff works. And also this coherence, it's just skyrocketed. I have a Fearless Heart podcast. We have this beautiful show. I also offer every 2 weeks Radiate Your Divine Light meditation and healing. Just a lot of amazing things have come out from what has been 2020, and it's pushing me forward. I often say, if somebody wants to blame what's going on, blame it on me, because I asked for a push. I asked for help to move me forward, and I got it, and it was big, and unfortunately it affected the whole world. So it's just been amazing. And I get to do this with you, and we have Russ supporting us. It's just
Yeah.
a beautiful, amazing picture. And if someone were to ask me, oh, would you like it to go back the way it was? I would say, no. I love what is now. And what's coming tomorrow will be different again. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to what's happening. It's so fascinating because Russ talked about setting his goals for the next 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that's innovation. Like I've thought about those kinds of things, but I haven't planned for it in the same way that he plans for it. And now I'm inspired. I'm really inspired to say, okay, what do I really want it to look like in 5 years? And then maybe I'll get it next year. Like his 2020 was planned for 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And that's amazing. He accelerated the world.
Yeah.
That's redheads
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes, like we've talked about before, sometimes, and I heard it in what Rusty said, I wanted to interject, but there was so much going on. It's like steady by jerks. That's what my favorite Christian teacher used to say. We're going forward, but it's steady by jerks. Sometimes it looks like a little backwards or sideways or going to Annapolis. It's like I'm going, but it looks like this, and that's okay. And I believe, that's how toddlers, that's how we all learn. It's like one step, 2 steps forward, 1 step back sometimes, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. So like, I have he had a sweep. I have a sweep. You have a sweep of what we're intending. And the wiggles along the way, can we take them, like you were saying, can we take them as blessings instead of curses?
I love that. And it's all perspective. With the idea of blessings and curses and perspective, let's take a short break.
Thank you, We Are Historically, for your conscious human apparel. Shop online at wearehistorically.com. Learn to play jazz piano like a pro, by the pro, Darius Willrich.
So a little bit about this course. We'll cover what I think are the important points of jazz piano, like what am I using as a jazz pianist? And this course will get you sounding like the records as fast as possible.
With his proven step-by-step system that makes it simple to learn. Enroll in Jazz Piano Pro Essentials today at jazzpianopro.com and receive a 20% holiday discount by using the coupon code HOLIDAYS2020 at checkout.
Welcome back to the Live by Heart Today show. We were talking about whether or not we could perceive a curse as a blessing and changing with the times. That's our number 3, being with what is. I also want to mention, you had talked about moving forward by jerks, and Russ left us last week with this beautiful analogy of a slingshot. So in order for a slingshot to work, right, you've got your slingshot, you actually pull it back, and that is backward progress, right? That's moving backward. But the acceleration you get once you let go is leaps and bounds and lots of forward momentum. And I love that image of a slingshot. Oh, it feels like you're going backward, but it's propelling you so far forward.
Yeah. My friend Scott, who we did a lot of healing work when I was in school and after, he used to give me that picture. He'd be like, Wendy, you are unstoppable. You're unstoppable in your vision and your healing and he'd get to know me. He's like, I think that just like the slingshot, I think that your illness and you're getting stopped and stuck and so suffering really helped you like get the momentum of being like, I am not stopping. Like from the time I started my training, which is over 18 years ago now,
Wow.
in earnest, like I was training before, but in earnest, like I've just been like, right. And it took that because there were some really big, heavy things to overcome.
Yes.
And I'm still like on fire. I'm on fire. And so like it's so helpful to not worry about, all right, well, coming out. That's what waves do. They come out, they come in. It's okay. And we wait for the wave and it comes.
I've often mentioned that your life is a little bit, in my mind, like Moses. Right? You're leading the people. But, for Moses to lead the people, he left and had to live in the desert for a while, And what he learned in the desert was just as valuable as what he learned when he was the Pharaoh's daughter's son, the Pharaoh's grandson. So the life that you're leading is very much like Moses. The ups and the downs and the
He had to
backward and
fall
forward.
from grace. He had to fall from royalty.
Mm-hmm.
And it was quite a lot of steps down.
Mm-hmm.
And then happy day, he gets to, I mean, it's a lot of challenge all the way, but
All the way.
the
Yeah.
ending is so good. Like from slavery to freedom is the
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
And I pray that people are hearing in all of the shows, but particularly in this one, that it's all choice. And no matter what I love to talk about with leadership is no matter if it's seemingly no one is following or 10 people or 100 or 1,000 or 1,000,000 or 10 million, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's like be the leader anyway. Make the choices anyway. And it matters in soul. It matters in the heart of God or whatever you want to say. It matters. We're making a difference.
And this brings me back to the image of the mother duck. She doesn't look behind her. When all those little ducklings are along the shore and you can't count, you don't really know how many are there because they're in and out and there's grass and right. You don't know who or what, but as soon as she starts swimming across that lake, they all come in. They're all watching her and she doesn't turn around. She just keeps going.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's leadership.
Yeah. And it makes a big difference. And it's a survival thing. I mean, too.
That's true. Yeah.
Right. I mean, but it's certainly very effective. And I love, you said before when we were talking, like it's on the ducklings. The ducklings have a choice. They don't have to follow, but if they do, it behooves them. It's good for them. Yeah.
Right. The mother duck doesn't really keep track of all those ducklings, right? Like she's around and she's doing a duck thing and she's teaching them what it is to be a duck. But when it's time to go, she just goes and the ducklings follow her.
Yes.
She doesn't say, okay, come on, it's time to go. She just does it.
Yeah.
And so that's a duckling responsibility, right? The baby ducks have to keep their eyes on her, no matter what they're doing or what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
That's a
And
great
she
example.
keeps her eye on the goal.
Yes.
Keeps her eye on what needs to happen. Yeah. And that reminds me again of Rusty, like having that vision. And I like to quote, without a vision, the people perish. Like asking for and praying for and dreaming on and noticing, what is it that I'm really here for? What is it that, even the next step of how I can make my difference in the world, it really matters.
Mm, mm. And you can see how the leaders, we should have leaders with their eye on that same vision. And so our vision, the leaders help lead us further toward the vision, and then it's our responsibility to continue moving toward that vision. It's very important for everyone to
Really
have a
helps.
vision.
Yeah, and it really matters who we're following. So
Yeah,
choosing all the way.
choosing all the way. And choosing is our number 5, consciously choosing. It's so amazing. I just have to say, this little list that we came up with, it keeps coming back.
Yeah,
Living
it's
by
foundational.
heart is a journey. And we created this short little beautiful list of how to move forward, how to live by heart. And even with our theme, being proactive, we can keep referring to this list. So making a choice is really important because life is about moving forward. Life is about and for more life. And
Yes.
when forward movement is stalled, then that is death. And even in death, things become rearranged in order to give more life.
Mm-hmm. Life comes out of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll say in closing that I was fascinated because I mentioned that I was reading this book on survival, who dies in the wild, something like that. Really, really good book. And at the end, he kind of wraps up and like, what are the basics to know about keeping ourselves, surviving when things go sideways? And it was almost the same list that we have.
Wow, really?
I'll post it. I'll post it in our, yeah, it's almost the same list.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, wow.
That truth is
Yeah.
truth is truth.
Yeah, including rest.
Wow.
He has a
Including
lot
rest.
about how rest is so important, and coming from playfulness is so important, and being grateful is so important. And yeah, I mean, it's fascinating.
Wow, fascinating. Thank you. Thank you so much, Wendy. And thank you to everyone watching today. We would absolutely love to hear from you. So if our conversation spoke to you, please tell us what's on your heart by leaving a comment. For more information about how you can live by heart, please go to livebyhearttoday.com. Like and follow this page and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our programs. We're here every week on Thursdays at 4:44 Pacific time. From our heart to yours, we're creating a better tomorrow because we live by heart today.
And that concludes this portion of
Live by Heart today!
Thank you for watching. View more episodes on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's give a shout out to our sponsor. We are Historically Conscious Brand Apparel.
Learn to play jazz piano like a pro, by a pro, with Jazz Piano Pro Essentials at jazzpianopro.com.